Mitochondrial dysfunction, cellular senescence, loss of proteostasis, genomic instability, altered cellular communication, epigenetic alterations, dysregulated nutrient sensing, telomere shortening, stem cell exhaustion, and cross-linking, or you can call this glycation. These are 10 hallmarks of aging. And when it comes to aging, there's many directions that we can go. There's many tools and tactics that we can go. And sometimes this overloads people. And today we're talking about a coenzyme that's found in all living cells. It is essential to life because it's going to catalyze reactions from more than 500 enzymes. In fact, this coenzyme is affecting and playing an essential role in 6 of the hallmarks of aging. My guest today is going to talk about why he thinks that this key coenzyme should be the first and necessary step when it comes to age rejuvenation and optimal health. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Executive Health and Life. I'm your host, Julian Hayes II, back at it again with another fascinating guest talking about a very interesting subject. And as you know, the main premise here is to monitor your health so you can maintain your edge and maintain your status. And with that comes learning and keeping up and leveraging data. And there's so many things that we can leverage today. You know, there's biological age that we can look into. There's the 10 hallmarks of aging, which probably in 5 years will probably be 20 hallmarks of aging as far as I'm concerned. And so it's hard to keep up with things. And so one of the central questions that I get asked a lot of times is, where should I start when it comes to getting into this longevity world and going beyond just the basic health? And today's subject is, we're going to talk about NAD, and this is a very key area, and you're going to learn today. I'm talking with one of the foremost experts that this is probably an area that you should look into first and foremost before anything else. But I'm talking with none other than Dr. Jin-Xiong She. And over the course of his career, Dr. She has authored over 400 peer-reviewed papers with an H index of 73 and over 17,000 citations. It's a very busy man, along with receiving over 100 million in research funding. Lastly, Dr. She is a serial entrepreneur that has founded or co-founded multiple companies, including the one that we are going to talk about predominantly today, Jinfiniti Precision Medicine. So without further ado, Dr. She, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be with you this morning.
Yes, thank you for joining me. And like as I mentioned, NAD is a very interesting, very interesting molecule, and we'll get into this throughout the conversation here. But I just had one of these. I think we have now 2 shops popped up now with IVs and everything. And somebody asked me, "Oh, should I look into this?" And I was like, I'm talking with a guy today, and that's going to be one of the questions that we're going to answer, because should you do oral? Should you do IV? So, but before we get into that, let's dive a little into who you are and what led you to start Jinfiniti.
Well, that's a very good question. So as you mentioned, I have been an academic scientist for almost 40 years till about 1 year ago. And in my academic career, I have done research on various aspects. I started from working on childhood diabetes, and we had one of the largest studies that have ever been attempted in human history. And as I walked through the questions we had, and I myself have become older, and I'm becoming more interested in my own health and my own longevity. And I wanted to do something about it, because as we age, our physiology, our physical abilities, and pretty much everything has changed. And we need to take actions as early as possible to stay healthy and to live as long life as we can. So, selfishness is one of the major reasons why I got interested in longevity. And there's an unselfish reason. And I think as today's society is very different from 50 years ago, and we are having more and more people living into their 80s, even 90s. But on the other hand, there are too many people who are already not so healthy in their 50s, 60s, and we needed to do something about it. And more importantly, we actually can do something about it right now if we take the right actions and if we take the actions early enough.
I'm the same way as you. A lot of this starts for selfish reasons. I got into this as well because I wanted to still maintain my athleticism and really perform at a high level, even though I'm chronologically getting older. And so but I think if you look at probably a lot of the greatest inventions, a lot of companies, they start out of a selfish need. They start out of a need just for something personal. And then they usually figure that, well, if I'm interested in this, surely somebody else in the world is going to be interested in this.
Absolutely.
And so, let's go ahead and dive into this. So let's start with the most basic question. So what is NAD?
Sure. NAD is what we call a coenzyme. Coenzyme is a molecule that can help other enzymes to function. And without coenzymes, many of the enzymes wouldn't have their activities. Now, NAD happens to be one of the most important coenzymes because it's involved in the function of over 500 other enzymes. So basically, it's involved in almost every single important cellular processes that to make our cells function. Without it, and our cells wouldn't function, we wouldn't be alive. Unfortunately, NAD declines with age, and we need to maintain it at the useful level for our body and our cells to function properly.
You mentioned that NAD declines with age. Is there a particular age range that it starts to decline, or is some of that based on lifestyle?
Well, you can probably see the chart behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see how I can move to make it appear. Oh, here we go. Now you see the bar chart on the left,
Mm-hmm.
and that's in what you see in teenagers. And they have useful level, they have higher levels. What's really surprising is starting in the late 20s and early 30s, NAD levels started decreasing in most individuals. And by the 50s and the 60s, the NAD level has largely reached the bottom. And it may continue to go down a little bit in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but not by much. So that's really surprising. And well, yeah, at least two surprises to us. One is how young NAD levels started declining. And the second one is they are already a small but not insignificant proportion of very young individuals, teenagers, who are already suboptimal or deficient for NAD. This is about 25% of the teenagers who don't have as high NAD level as I think we really need to keep people healthy. Unfortunately, a lot of the young individuals with suboptimal NAD levels are usually associated with some health problems.
Okay. And it's interesting to think about that. And with the, let's see, where was I going here? Oh, also with the NAD, as we're talking about that. And I mentioned at the top that it's the various markers of aging. So I was curious how, I'm assuming that NAD plays a part in a handful of those biomarkers of aging. Am I correct on that?
You're absolutely right. And NAD is at least involved in 6 of the hallmarks of aging, and it's probably involving every single hallmarks of aging, if you really think about it. So the most important ones are the production of cellular energy. To produce cellular energy in the form of ATP, you must have NAD. Without NAD, that doesn't happen. So That's the most important function of NAD that most biologists and medical professionals do know about. And NAD is also involved in DNA repair. And so we experience damages to our DNA over our lifetime. We have a lot of toxins, we have irradiations, and they can damage our DNA, and the DNA needs to be repaired. If the damaged DNA is not repaired, and that's one of the major reasons why we get cancer. So without the proper levels of DNA, and I believe the chances of developing cancer could be increased. We don't have hard evidence for that. It's very hard to come by. But from a theoretical point of view, if you don't repair damaged DNA, and cells are now going to function properly and normally, and cancer development could be increased. And NAD is also involved in regulation of sleep, and is involved in regulating how our immune system works. And I can go on and on. NAD is such an important molecule that everything that our cells do requires it.
So this is almost making, I think I forgot when I was listening to a couple of your talks, and when you put all that together, it sounds like NAD is building up a worthy case of being the first and necessary step for age management. If it is it.
That's the title of my talk in several talks I have given recently. I really want to get to this point across because I think it's very, very important. And there are many things you can do for health and for longevity purposes. And many things that we do, it works so much better if we have sufficient levels of NAD. And that's whether it's exercise or supplements that we take, and whether we're trying to reduce inflammation, reduce oxidative stress, or even some people are taking stem cell therapy, and all these treatment modalities do work better if we optimize the NAD level. So I really think that optimization of NAD is the first and necessary step towards age management. There's just a lot of data that we have that will support this concept, and from what we know about the biology, and it makes a lot of sense. And I really think that's an important point that we all need to consider and try to get our NAD levels high. I love to get everyone's NAD level to the optimum range.
We're going to come back to the optimum range because that's one of the key questions that I have. But this is just for curiosity purposes. When we look at NAD levels of teenagers and the adults, has it been studied that maybe, because the reason why this is top of mind is I had a conversation recently. We were talking about testosterone levels, and we were talking about how there's been such a rapid decline in men today compared to 50 years ago. So I'm wondering with NAD, has the same thing been going on? Like the baseline levels of people today is much lower than previous generations.
We don't know the answer to the question because NAD is actually not very stable in samples without the proper preservation. And we are not able to go back historically to measure people's NAD level in, say 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So we are never going to be able to answer that question. And it's an important question, but I don't think it's the most important question. The most important question to me is number one, what a proportion of people are deficient in NAD, how deficient they are, and what's the optimum range? How can we get people to the optimum range?
And
Uh,
speaking
then,
of,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, speaking of the optimum range, then what is that optimum range? Because I'm curious, how do you even define what's an optimum range for NAD?
It's a very difficult question. It's very hard to define, and it's going to be a moving target. But there are ways that we can get started. One way that you can get some kind of assessment is what you see in young people, especially for a biomarker that declines with age. We assume that the levels we see in young people who are healthy should be the right range, or at least close to the right range, right? So that's one way to do it. So you look at you analyze a large number of young individuals who are at least apparently healthy, and you see what's the distribution. And we have done that, and we can talk about the data. And the second way to do it is how, at what level people would feel a difference, whether physically, physiologically, mentally, or even sexually. Okay, so we have actually data on from both point of view. We analyze a large number of young individuals, and the levels that we see is above 40 micromole. And don't worry about it. It's a concentration. Okay, it's a UM.
Mm-hmm.
And micromole is a concentration. So 75% of teenagers have NAD level above 40 micromole. So we have kind of taken this number as the lower end of the optimum range.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be like 75% of the teenagers. And then there's an upper limit. What's the upper limit? We don't really know. But we see natural levels in the 70s, in the 80s. In a few individuals, we even see values that are over 100 micromole. But to be absolutely safe, I don't recommend getting your NAD level above 100 micromole. It doesn't mean that above 100 micromole is not good or is bad. I don't know. But I kind of want to be cautious until we have more data. Then on the second aspect, and when people start experiencing health improvement, in the vast majority of individuals that we got their NAD levels high, and they start experiencing physical improvement or health improvement at large, starting at the 40s. And I really want to get the levels to the 50s and the 60s. Some people can get into the 70s and the 80s. So I think the lower end of the optimum range is somewhere between 40 and 50 micromole. If you can get it to the 50s, that would be great for you, but at least try to get it above 40. So if you combine these two sets of data, and I think we know the lower end of optimum range pretty well, and it's somewhere between 40 and 50. Where you want it to be, and it may be different for different person. What you want to do is to combine the NAD measurement with how you feel physically, physiologically, and or in other health parameters that are important to you.
Because I imagine when it comes to how you feel, because you mentioned those different aspects, the physical, the mental, the sexual, even the overall performance. If you're deficient in this, or even slightly deficient, you'll notice a pretty big difference, right, over the course of time when you increase your levels.
We have people feeling a difference, functioning overnight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I have examples after examples. Not everyone will feel a difference overnight. It depends on your health condition, what are your complaints? Are you feeling tired? And do you have some other issues? The vast majority of people can feel improvement in energy, in sleep. And we have a lot of people who have major improvement in arthritis, because NAD, NMN are actually very potent anti-inflammatory compounds. We have people who feel much improved mental clarity. The changes are variable from person to person, depending on whether they realize what issues they have. Actually, it's really how well you know your body. If you know your body well, you are probably going to notice a difference more than someone who doesn't know, whether there's an issue with their body. Okay, but the common improvements are usually energy, sleep, and also recovery from exercise. And I can tell you my own personal stories. I can tell you many different stories. If you don't feel a difference after taking NAD supplements, the likelihood is you are probably not optimizing your NAD. If you don't optimize it, you're not going to feel the difference.
Right. What was the biggest improvement in your life? What did you notice? What was one of the first things you noticed?
Well, too many. So I'm a tennis player, and I'm 60 years old. Well, I'm getting closer to 61. My tennis game started really changing around the 40 years of age. I was having major problems with my wrist and my shoulder, my back, and I had to take a Tylenol before I play tennis. Otherwise, I don't recover for a whole week. And 3 months on the NAD supplement, and I suddenly realized that I didn't need a Tylenol anymore. I recovered within the same day, and I was taking Tylenol. It was still taking me 2 days to recover. But with the product, I recovered within the same day without Tylenol. My back pain is completely gone. I also had a major knee problem, and that was really hurting me. It's all disappeared. And I just feel much younger. And for those who are interested in biological age, I improved my biological age by 9 years.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty big improvement.
Yeah. I mean, I cannot attribute the word improvement to NAD, because I also started taking some other supplements, but I think NAD is probably a major contributing factor.
So that's probably one of people's favorite questions. What do you take? What's in your longevity stack?
Yeah, I started with about 20 supplements, and then I realized many of the supplements I was taking probably were not working. So I kind of narrowed down. I'm taking about 10. So you want to take care of the basics, okay? You want to have multivitamins. I mean, what kind of vitamins? And I think we need them. You need to take a vitamin D. And most people are not taking enough vitamin D supplements to get the level to the optimum range. If you listen to your regular doctors, they are going to recommend the 1,000 international unit of vitamin D. It's a joke. I mean, it's not going to do anything. For most people, you're going to need 5 to 10,000 IU of vitamin D. And you want to measure so you know how much you need. Vitamin C's, all these vitamin B's, all these regular vitamins that should be on everyone's list. No doubt about it. And then obviously you want to take NAD supplements. We can dive into details of what you should take or not. And I also take quercetin, and quercetin with vitamin C work quite well to prevent senescent cells formation. I think it's a signal senopreventive. I wouldn't call it senolytic, because if you can prevent the formation of more senescent cells, it's going to be quite good. I used to take resveratrol. I don't take it anymore because I'm not sure what it's doing anything. The literature is quite controversial. And if you want to take it, you can take it. I take CoQ10. Previously I was taking regular CoQ10, but I switched to MitoQ, which is a special form of CoQ10 that may work better than CoQ10. I don't have hard evidence. Actually, we're trying to do a clinical trial to see how what MitoQ works better than regular CoQ10. And I take turmeric. Turmeric is a supplement that I recommend to most people because it's a very potent anti-inflammatory compound. It can help reduce oxidative stress, and it can also help to boost your AMPK, and also you boost the enzyme that makes NMN from nicotinamide, NAMPT. That's an enzyme that's it's a rate limiting enzyme to make NAD. And I drink a lot of green tea, and if you don't like green tea, you can take a EGCG, which is the active ingredient in green tea. But I get a fresh green tea from China, and I love it. I take a lot of green tea, and I also take some Chinese herbs. One that's really good is cordyceps. Most people do not know what it is. It has a lot of good functions. I take some ginseng extract. And what else I take? I take another supplement called NAC. NAC works quite well, at least for me, to reduce oxidative stress. And you know, I have the advantage of being able to test myself every month and test for many different biomarkers. So I kind of know what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And for people who can afford it, I wouldn't really do a lot of testing to figure out what's really needed for you and what the supplements are actually working for you. The only way you can find out is through testing and through how you feel. And you want to combine the information from testing and your own reaction to whatever you take. I mean, I have a lot of customers, not your friends, who take 50, 100 different supplements.
Same.
I ask, how do you know what you need to take? How do you know what's working for you or not? I don't think I'd like to take 50 supplements. No, too much.
I mean, I probably could do it. I mean, there's phases where I would take a lot, and I can measure a few of them because I have access, to measure pretty much anything I want. But then also I know my body pretty well, and I know certain things, and I put my body through a lot of stress with lifting weights, with running, and so many different things. So there's a couple things that I look for when I take these. So I have an idea of, like, I'm taking this for this reason, and we'll see. So I think that's where, even going back to the data and the trials that you mentioned, some things you measure, but then you combine it also, which is really learning and knowing your body. And I think that's the whole N of one mentality that this longevity space preaches a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to know your body. You have to know what are the potential issues and what you need to improve, and combine with trying different approaches and trying biomarker testing you can find what works for you or not. We'll build different, we have different genetics, we have different lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
and we have different environment. And what works for me may not be what you needed. And but you're in control of your own destiny.
Mm-hmm.
But we're here to help everyone, and I actually spend a lot of my time talking to my customers, and I'm not supposed to, but I enjoy it. I enjoy giving advice. I mean, I don't give medical advice, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not only a doctor, and so I always discuss it from a scientific point of view, and from my knowledge and my personal experience, and it's really very enjoyable experience.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
We have to, because I imagine anytime you being an entrepreneur and starting any type of venture, any company, it's not easy. There's going to be a lot of tough days. So, it absolutely helps to actually enjoy it and to have a deep rooted passion in it. And so, so as we go about NAD, I guess the next place to start is there's improving NAD levels. And I guess the most common way is supplementation, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And there's many different types on the market. So I believe there's NMN, there's NR, what is it? Is there NA?
Yeah,
And
nicotinic acid.
yeah. And then there's one more. I think it's
Nicotinamide.
NAM, right?
Yeah, NAM.
Yeah. So there's four of those. So somebody's looking at this and they're thinking, okay, which one is ideal for me to take?
Sure. I think we may want to backtrack
Okay.
a little bit. So I put the word NAD strategies into 4 categories.
Okay.
And so you can supplement what's needed for the building blocks. And you mentioned NMN, NR, NAM, and NA. So these are the 4 major ones, but you can also consider tryptophan as a building block. And it takes a long process to make NAD from tryptophan, but you can do it, and the cells can do it. You can also give the intact NAD molecule, and that's been done through different ways. And the third way is you can try to boost the enzymes that actually make NAD. And the fourth one is you can try to reduce the degradation of NAD molecules and try by inhibiting the DNA degrading enzymes. So these are the four major strategies. Given the NAD molecule itself, given the precursors, and boost the enzymes that make NAD, and inhibit the enzymes that degrade NAD. So these are pretty much the 4 possibilities. And that covers everything that you can get your NAD up. There's no other way. Okay. Now, given NAD itself has been used for long time, and mostly through IV infusion, and that's been in place for decades. And more recently, they are injectable NAD, subcutaneous injection of NAD. And there are also some oral supplements that use the NAD molecule. Now, NAD IV is a good strategy to treat certain neurological conditions and also infectious disease. That has been used for a long time. That's actually how NAD gained its I guess recognition in the first place, and it's still used very heavily in certain clinics, and more IV clinics are opening up and offering NAD IV infusion. Now, even though the NAD IV has its application in treating certain conditions, but NAD IV does not increase your intracellular NAD. And we can go into details, but we may not have time. And we have 2 clinical trials done. We have data from consumers who have done NAD IV. I can assure you, not a single person that we have studied has their intracellular NAD level increase. If your purpose is longevity, performance, and you want to get your NAD high, primarily you want to get your intracellular NAD high. And in that situation, NAD IV is probably not the best way to do it. And then let's move to increasing the NAD enzymes. And there is one supplement on the market that tries to increase NAD synthesis enzymes. And I think the approach is very useful potentially, but I don't find any supplement on the market that can actually do the job very well. And it's something that we are looking into right now to see whether we can come up with a supplement that can be helpful. And another common one is inhibition of NAD degrading enzymes, and the quercetin, CD38 inhibitor, epigenin, and the CD38 is one of the major enzymes that can degrade NAD, especially in the blood, because CD38 level is very high in the plasma and also on the surface of immune cells. And it can potentially, quercetin and other NAD degrading enzymes can have a major impact on your NAD level in the plasma that I call circulating NAD. But I'm not sure inhibiting these enzymes has a major impact on NAD levels inside the cells. And we don't have enough data to make a definitive conclusion. I think it'll be worthwhile to do a clinical trial when I find the time and the money to do the experiment. It's something I'm very interested in. But I doubt that's going to be a major approach to get an NAD level high enough. So then we have the NAD precursors left. NAD precursors, especially NMN and potentially NR, are the most efficient way of elevating intracellular NAD level. And let's take NMN, for example, and in the consumers who are testing NAD levels with us, about 30% and maybe 40% of the people who are taking just pure NMN, and their NAD levels are in the optimum range. And we also have data from a clinic, a longevity clinic, and for most of the patients, their NAD level is increased after taking pure NMN, but most of them don't have their NAD optimized, above 40 micromole. So taking pure NMN from any vendors on the market may or may not be the best approach to get your NAD up. At least I would say you want to test and to see whether how well the supplements you take are actually working for you or not. And in contrary, we have a NMN formulation, and we filed a patent. It's a patent pending now, and we can get 90% of people's NAD into the optimum range. And in our formulation, we have NMN, and we have 3 other ingredients that somehow can make it work so much better. And so, not all the NAD precursors are created equal. And I'm not trying to tell anyone to buy my supplement if they want to. Obviously I'm happy, but the best advice I can give everyone is get testing, find out what's your preferred supplement actually is working for you or not. That's very important. Otherwise, you may be wasting your money and more importantly, your time and thinking that you are getting your NAD increase. They may be getting the NAD increase, but it does not increase high enough. I mean, I can give you a lot of examples with customers who have been taking NAD supplements for a year, 2 years, sometimes 3 years, and the NAD level is still not high enough. Once they switch to our product, boom, it goes up through the roof. And it's really amazing how well it works.
That's interesting. I'm going to have to. I didn't realize that because I went to the website, but I didn't
Well,
realize.
you want to try mine? I'll send you one.
Okay. All right. And so as we get ready to wrap down here, I want to kind of say, so someone's looking to get started. How would you recommend they go about approaching NAD and everything? And the reason why is because I think, well, I'll just let you explain it. How would you recommend someone go about it?
So ideally, we recommend a package of 2 NAD tests and 2 NAD supplements. And you take a test, and that can be a baseline. If you have never taken, if you have not taken NAD supplements in the past month, so take the test, start on the supplement immediately, do the second test after 4 weeks. So you will see what's the difference. And with these 2 tests and the supplement, you find out what's your your baseline level, or what's your level after taking your current supplement. All right. If the first level is not high enough, you want to switch to our supplement. And after 4 weeks, you will see what's your level and whether our supplement works for you or not. If it doesn't work for you, the supplement is actually free. We reimburse the money. And more importantly, I promise everyone working with us that we're going to get your NAD up one way or another. There are quite a few things that we can try. So you do the second test, we will tell you how you should adjust your dosage. Some people may have to take a little more, other people may have to take a little less because their level become over 100. I'll tell them, well, you need to come down a little bit, you're taking too much. But for the vast majority of people, we can get their level to the optimum range with the first dose that we recommend, which is about 1,000 milligrams of NMN in our formulation. And with this starter program, we can get 90% of people's NAD optimized. For the remaining 10%, we try to find other solutions for them if they want, or they get their money that they paid for the supplement back. I don't know how you can beat that program.
I don't think you can either. It's no risk on their end. You're taking the risk off their hand.
It's my personal promise to get everyone's NAD optimized.
So I think next time I'll have to have another conversation with you again, because I wanted to dive deeper into the senescence topic, but I think that will be good to separate it, and so we'll have this further down the line. I think today was a very good introduction and discussion into NAD, and I think so. With that said, though, where can listeners find out more about Jinfiniti?
Well, they can go to our website, and it's jinfiniti.com. It's JINFINITI. And or they can search my name. And there are a few videos online on YouTube, and we can probably maybe you can give them my email address and my website, and I personally respond to a lot of emails because I enjoy talking to them.
That's true. You're very responsive. This is how we connected. I just emailed you. So so that is very true. So I will add your email in there. I will add the website in there. And so in case you are driving right now or you're busy right now as you're listening to this episode, don't worry, I will have it in the show notes. And so with that said, thank you again, Dr. She, for joining me. Listeners out there, stay awesome, be limitless. And as always, go be the CEO of your health and your life. Peace.